Hi everyone and welcome back to Kiwi Investments. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. We will talk about tracking your investments and why you should be doing it. Now you obviously don't need to track your investments. Some people might be happy that they made a profit or a loss and just move on. There's nothing wrong with that. But I encourage everyone to track their investments if you're serious about improving. I keep a log of all my investments because I want to see if my return on investments is improving. I like to see how much I made compared to last month and last year, what my biggest losses and biggest gains were and why, how much I made in dividends, how long I held the position and what were the profit differences, which sectors I do well in, were the trades emotionally driven or data driven, what the current share price is and did I sell it at the right time. So it all depends on your goals and what you want to get out of it. Now this video is in response to a comment asking for an Excel template, but I will show you how to make your own spreadsheet so that you can put whatever you want or not put because everyone has different goals. Now there are a lot of different websites and apps that allow you to track your investments, so you don't have to do it this way, but most of them do charge, and this way you get more control over what you want to see. But I only recommend tracking your investments for those people who will take the time to reflect and act on the information. Otherwise there's no point and you would be wasting your time. Now the Excel pivot table that we're going to create looks something like this, and you'll be able to put whatever column you want to put on the table, or you can make it look like whatever you want, and I will show you how. I will also show you how to set up in Google Sheets because both platforms have their benefits. Because of that, we have a lot to go through, and I will go as quick as I can to keep this video short. If you're following along at home, then you can pause the video and hit J or the back arrow button on your keyboard to go back a few seconds. If you're watching from a phone, then you can double tap the left side of your screen. Having a table like this, you will be able to distinguish your abilities from your luck. It will stop you from downplaying your losses and exaggerating your wins. For most people, it will be an ego buster. Google Sheets has one big benefit, and that is it can show you the current share price of the company automatically, so you don't have to go and look it up. So for example, if you look at Adobe, the current share price is $333.45. To come back to the Google Sheet, it shows $333.45. You keep going. Vanguard ETF is $45.55. $45.55. So this gets updated automatically, and I have it set up so the colors get updated automatically as well. So in the background, I have it set up to show a light green if I made a profit, and in the current share price column, I have it to show red if the current share price has gone below the initial buy price. And just to show you the automatic coloring, let's say I sold this a day later, and let's say I got $30 back. Now watch, since I got $10 more than what I put in, it's gonna color this whole entire row light green, and it's gonna calculate the percentage, day, and how much I made per day. Now when I go enter, there we go. Now let's say we got $10 instead. So everything gets done automatically. Let's undo that. And with that, I can see if I change this to alphabet order and I don't want to see blanks. Then if I look for green backgrounds with a red current share price, that tells me I've done the trade right. So with Google, I have sold it before it has gone past the initial buy price. And I have only done that with 3 companies: Google, Microsoft, and Slack. If it is all red, such as Netflix, then that again also means I made the right decision before I had a bigger loss. Every other combination suggests that I should have held the position. Let's undo that and let's start off with Excel first. The biggest benefit of Excel is that Excel organizes everything really nicely in terms of dates and years. It just doesn't have an automatic current share price update. If you know that you want to use Google Sheets, then you can use the timestamps in the description to skip to the part where I show you how to set up in Google Sheets. Okay, just to show you guys the things that I'm looking at, if I come up here on my table to start date and I unclick everything and I just click 2019, press OK, and I come down here, I can see that I made over $2,000 in dividends, but I lost $100 more in trading shares. So that tells me that I'm not as good as I think I am when it comes to swing trading. I'm better off buying and holding and getting income from dividends. And in a separate sheet, I have my American investments, only because these are in American dollars and these are in New Zealand dollars. And in my American sheet, just to show you another example, if I come up here to difference and I go largest to smallest, this makes sense to me because I tend to hold on to shares that are losing me money thinking that it's going to go back up again. So this is something I need to work on. Another thing I like to do is I sometimes like to put this in A to Z in alphabet order, and I like to see what companies I'm good at buying and selling. So just to show you an example, if I go to Alphabet, I bought and sold it twice. And if you look at here, I sold it at $1,274 and I bought it back at $1,444. So I'm pretty good at buying and selling Alphabet. So now I might look to increase the amount that I put in. Anyways, I'll be here for a long time if I keep talking about what I learned from looking at my investments. So I'll show you how to make a table like this. Now we're going to have our table set up. So the only thing that you need to fill out are these columns and the rest will update automatically, including the colors. I'll start a new sheet. First of all, highlight whatever the part that you want to create the table with. Don't worry about how big you make it because you can easily add more columns. And let's make this long. That's what she said. And go to insert and go to table and click on my table has headers, and now you have your table. If you want, you can come up here and change your colors. I just keep it black and white. Now in the columns, this is what I'm talking about. You can put whatever you want. So to keep it similar to mine, let's say company name, buy price, sell price. I like to keep the buy price and sell price next to each other. Then I can look at when I bought it, when I sold it, and when I bought it back. You obviously don't have to do it that way. The ticker symbol, or you can go code, start date, principal, dividends, end date. Now when you want to add columns, just highlight the column, come up here to insert, and you can go insert column left or insert column right. And you can keep doing that as much as you like. To delete, again highlight and just go delete. Very simple. Return, and I like to have net return. I call it net return to see the difference between what I put in and what I got out, but you can name it whatever you want. And I also like to see it in percentage difference. Insert another column, duration per day. Now the next part is kind of important, so I'm gonna go and format what I want these cells to be. So buy and sell price would be currency. So just come up here and change it to currency. Start date would be in date. You can go long date or short date. I always go short. And the reason why we format this is we come back here when you start filling the table out, and I want to see month by month or year by year. If you click on the little drop down arrow, Excel actually organize everything for you. So you can even expand 2019 and just go month by month. You can even go September. So I did really bad in September. So I'm going to format the rest of the cells. These are currency, currency, date, currency, percentage, and currency. So in the net return column, or whatever you named it, we're going to use our if formulas. So we're going to press equal if open bracket is blank, open bracket, and we're going to click on the return box and then close that bracket. So we're telling Excel that if this box is blank, then show us nothing. So to do that, we're going to go comma, and nothing is represented by a double quotation mark, and then go comma. So now we're telling Excel that if this box is not blank, then we want you to do the following equation. So our equation for net return will be net return plus dividends minus the initial amount that you put in. And then we're going to close that bracket. Press enter, and you can either click down this arrow button and go override all cells in this column, or you can drag this down to the very end. Now this entire column has the same formula up here. It will show nothing until the return gets filled out, and we're going to do the same for the other columns. So we're going to do another if formula. So equals if open bracket is blank, open bracket, click on the box below, return, close bracket, comma, quotation mark, comma. Now we put the formula, which is net return divided by the initial amount, close bracket, enter, and then override all cells in this column with this formula. And now all the cells have the same formula. Now duration is the same, but we do it for the date. So we go equals if open bracket is blank, open bracket again, and we're gonna click on end date, close bracket, comma, quotation mark, comma, and the formula is end date minus the start date, close bracket, and then override all cells. Now my final column is how much I made per day. So once I finish with an investment, I like to see how much I made per day with that investment, which is something I like to look at. So again, the same formula. If open bracket is blank, open bracket, return is blank, comma, then I want you to show quotation mark, which means nothing, comma. If it isn't blank, then I want you to divide net return by the duration, close bracket, enter, and overwrite all cells in this column. And one last thing that this table is missing is the total amount showing at the bottom here. To do that, click anywhere on the table, come up here to design and click on total rows. Then you can click on anything that you want to show. So for dividends, if you want to know the total dividend amount that you have made, just click on this drop down arrow and go sum. If you want to know the total net return that you've made, then do the same. You want to move these columns so that you can see what you wrote much better. Then you can click and drag to whatever size you want, or you can double click it and it will snap into a position where you can see everything. If I double click this, I'm going to keep this short. Now as we go to fill out, let's say you bought Adobe at, I don't know, $5 a share, press enter, and you see that it automatically puts it into currency because earlier we told Excel that all these cells are in currency. Let's say you sold it at 10, code for Adobe ADBE. Start date, let's say 1st of January 2020, hit enter, and let's say you initially put in $100, press enter, and let's say you sold it on the 3rd. Now did you see as soon as I enter, Excel already told me that you held this for 2 days because of the if formula that we put down. And let's say the total return that we got back into our account once we sold it is 200. And now watch, when I press enter, the rest of the sales are going to get filled up. There we go. So the net return, how much we made from our initial $100 is $100 because we put in $100, we got back 200, so we made 100, and we made 100% of our initial deposit. That would be amazing if we can do that. Held it for 2 days, so that equals to $50 a day that we made. Let's say you bought Netflix. And by the way guys, you can have this table set up so that when you put the buy price and how much shares that you bought, so if we add another column here and put how much shares that you bought, for the initial deposit you can have it equal buy price times how many shares you bought, and that will give you the principal. But remember, that won't take into account any brokerage fees or platform fees or transaction fees. But I don't have the amount of shares that I bought. That's just my personal preference. Let's just say make some numbers up. 50, you sold it for, let's say 25. Ticker symbol is NFLX. Let's say you bought it on the same day as Adobe, and let's say you put 200, you made $50 in dividends, and you sold it on the same day. Let's say you got $50 back. Press enter. Now let's say you got $20 back, and there you go, everything updates automatically. Alright, so if you want the rows to color in automatically, then highlight your table, go to conditional formatting, come down to top bottom rules and go more rules. This box will pop out and go use formula to determine which cells to format. And we're going to type our own formula. So we're going to start off by pressing equals, and then we're going to put a $sign and then press I2, bigger than $F2. So basically what this formula says is if the return is bigger than the principal, then we want you to color it a certain color. So go to format, go to fill, and this is where you pick your color. You can even have a fill effect. So we can go for a radiant look and change the colors around. Let's give it a light green with a blue gradient. Go OK, that looks alright. Go OK, go OK again. Now you see the first column gets highlighted because it matches the formula. So let's do another one for the negative investments. The conditional formatting again. Top down rules, manage rules, use formula, and we're going to type in a different formula this time. So we're going to go equals $J2 smaller than 0. So basically this formula says that if J2, which is our net return, if it is smaller than 0, then we want you to format it in this color. So let's pick another color. Let's go light red and a grayish background. There we go. Now you have your colors. So if you test this out, let's say you put another 100 on your new investment, and then you decided to sell and you got 200. There we go. It paints that for you. Let's say you got $50 instead. There we go, it paints it red, and it's all done automatically. I actually like to color it in by myself. So if I undo all that, when I'm done with a trade, I like to enter it and then come up here to pick the color that I want. I like to do it manually just because it feels better for me. Again, that's personal preference. I don't know if you ever had a to-do list. Crossing stuff out from that list feels good, and it's the same feeling I get when I'm highlighting my investments. If you're making a lot of trades, then having it done automatically would be beneficial for you. Or if you just like seeing everything get calculated out for you automatically, then that's up to you too. And if I go back to my other sheet, another reason why you should color it is because you can sort by color. So this will show it by color, and if you only want to see the positives or the negatives, then you can go filter by color. Now it only shows me the positives. Now everything will be organized for you. Now you can add or delete whatever you want here. I know some people as the date and the time they buy into a company, and they have a look at that to see if they have a time or a day when they are at their best. Might be useful if you're planning on day trading or swing trading. And another thing you can do, which I need to start doing, but I'm just not disciplined enough, is to put in why you bought in and why you sold. Now you can obviously put another column, but I was thinking you could just put a comment. So if you right click, insert comment, and type in why you bought in. So this could be FOMO, fear of missing out. And for sale, you can put happy with profit or made target. You can keep going, insert comment, analyst recommendation, and why you sold, cut losses. So after you add comments, you can just hover over it with the mouse and it tells you why you bought in. So analyst recommendation, FOMO, cut losses, made target. Now when you go and make a lot of trades, which you will, it will paint a picture for you. You may realize that listening to analysts, you have lost a lot of money. Or if you act on FOMO, fear of missing out, you may have gained a lot of money. You obviously need more data to find that out. If you no longer want to see some of these columns, but you don't want to delete it because you don't want to lose all that data, then right click on the column to highlight it and go hide. And you can do this with as many columns as you like. And to unhide it, highlight, right click and unhide. Now if you guys want more visuals such as arrows and stuff, then highlight net return, come up here to conditional formatting, icon sets, more rules, and then change these to whatever you want, such as arrows, and then change these to numbers. Now what you're saying Excel to do is show this arrow, and by the way you can change the symbol as well. So you're telling Excel, when the value is greater than 0, show this arrow. When the value is equal to 0, show this symbol. And below 0, show a red negative arrow. Okay. Now if you're getting these hashtags, that means the number inside is too big to show. So like I said before, to see everything, just double click here. Now if you test it out, let's say you put in 100 and you go back 100. Now when I press enter, it's gonna show that yellow neutral symbol because we didn't make any profit. Another example, you put in 100 and we go to 150, it's gonna show a positive arrow. There you go. And you can sort and filter by these symbols as well. If you like more visuals, then make the percentage difference longer, highlight the entire column, go to conditional formatting, and then go to data bars. And then you can have a gradient or solid, pick whatever you like. I like the gradient look, and that'll give you further information. This doesn't say much, but if you go to my data sheet and I make this bigger, highlight the column, put in the data, now you can use these visuals in combination with other filters. So for example, if I get rid of the current profile, so unclick blanks, and then go A to Z, now I can easily see Tesla was my biggest profit at 24%, and I've only traded Tesla once, held it for 6 days, whereas Google, I held it for 6 days, only got 3%, and I've traded it twice. I've actually traded Alphabet about 4 times now. This is not updated. This is my stake account. So this also tells me maybe I should focus more on Tesla because it seems to have a very high volatility. If you really get stuck with the formulas, I will delete all this data and have a template set up in the description so you can click on it and download it. If you don't like the colors, you can go to conditional formatting, manage rules, and you see all the color formatting here. If you don't like anything, just click on it and go edit rules and then change the colors. Let me undo this. I recommend you make your own table that is unique to you. A table like this can be used for many things, not just your investments. It can be used for your fitness, your monthly income and expenses, so what you spend on your groceries, girlfriend or boyfriend, pets, dates, food, car, and keeping a track of all that will paint a picture for you. I keep my investments separate from my other income and expenses. Okay, now it's time for Google Sheets. So just search for Google Sheets and it's free for anyone, and then click on personal and then click on blank. Just to speed things up, I copy and paste a header from my Excel sheet to Google Sheet. The only thing I added was the current share price. And by the way, I actually do have that column here in my Excel sheet. I just have it hidden. So if you want to hide it, right click and hide. To unhide it is the same way. I'm going to go ahead and make this look a bit more pretty. Change the color, click on this fill color. And to resize it, it's the same. You can double click or you can click and drag. Okay, now the first thing you should do, if you're not from America, then you need to change the setting as close as you can to your home country. And that's because Americans, when it comes to writing their dates, they write the month first and then the day, whereas other parts of the world, they write the day, then the month, and then the year. So to change the setting, go to File, Spreadsheet Setting, and for your location, bring it as close as you can to your home country. Now, Google Sheets doesn't have New Zealand, sadly. Closest I can get is Australia, and then go Save Settings. Now again, just like with Excel, we're going to tell Google Sheets what each of these columns are meant to be. So company name, you can leave it alone. Buy price, sell price, current price, and currency. So you can just click on this $sign to format as currency. Start date is date, principal, dividend, currency, date, return, net return, currency, percentage, and currency. Okay, now it's time for the formulas. The formulas and setting up the colors can seem like a bit of a nightmare, but once you have it set up, everything just becomes automatic and seamless. It's just the first setup that can be a bit, anyways, I'll help you through it. So for the company name, we're gonna have it show up automatically. So we're going to use a formula that you can't find on Excel, and that is Google Finance. So we're gonna go equals and type in Google Finance. It'll pop up, click on that, and you will get this formula with an open bracket. So we're gonna go click on the box below ticker, comma, and in quotation marks, we're gonna type in name. Close the quotation mark and close the bracket, then press enter. It'll come up with an NA value, but that's alright. That's what I wanted it to show. Now for the current price, we're gonna have it automatic as well. So we're gonna type in the same formula, which is Google Finance. Click on the box below ticker, comma, and this time we're going to put price on the quotation. Close the bracket, press enter. It'll come up with an NA value as well, but that is alright. Now for net return, we're going to use the if formula again, just like in Excel. So we're going to tell Google Sheets that if is blank, open bracket, return, close bracket. So we told Google Sheet that if is blank, comma, then show us nothing, which is represented by quotation mark, and then comma. So if it's not blank, if this cell is not blank, then I want you to do the following equation, which is return minus the initial principal, close bracket, and press enter. And now it'll show nothing because that's the formula we put. If return is blank, then show us nothing. To test that out, you can go 100. It'll turn it into a dollar amount because if you remember earlier, we converted all the cells, and let's say the return was 150. Now if the if formula is correct, the net return will come up with 50. There we go. So it won't show anything here until you fill out the return. We're gonna use the same formula for percentage difference. So equals if open bracket is blank, open bracket, if return is blank, close bracket, comma, then show us nothing, which is quotation mark, comma. If it's not blank, then divide net return by the principal, close bracket, enter. Duration is the same, but we're going to do it for the date. So equals if open bracket is blank, open bracket, if return is blank, close bracket, comma, then show us nothing, which is quotation mark, comma. If it's not blank, then I want you to end date minus the start date, close bracket, enter. And lastly, same thing, but per day equals if open bracket is blank, open bracket, click on return, close bracket, comma, quotation mark, comma, net return divided by duration, close bracket, enter. And that will show us how much we made per day. So it'll keep it nice and clean until we start filling it out. The reason why it's showing NA is because we haven't put a ticker symbol yet. Once the ticker column is filled out, then it'll calculate the rest. So if I type in a ticker, so if I go Apple, which is AAPL, hit enter, and it's going to automatically pull out the company name and the current share price. So if I Google it, 278.58 cents, 278.58 cents. That's pretty cool, right? And I don't like how it's all white here. It needs some more color. So I'm going to highlight all my columns, go to format, and go to alternating colors, and you can pick whatever color you want. I'm going to stick to a much more easy gray looking color, and you can change the color if you want to. Just going to stick with that. Now it's time to set up the automatic coloring. Click on the box underneath current share price, go to format or conditional formatting, and for applied range, we're going to go D2 column D1000. So that's basically infinite, and we're going to tell it if it is greater than B2, then I want you to color it bright green, and hit done. And we're going to add another formula, again the same range, column D1000, and this time we're going to go if it is less than B2, then I want it to show a red color. So now all that column has the same color formula. Now if we go to net return or percentage difference, or you can do both, I'm just going to keep it with net return. We can add another rule. So if you accidentally close this, it's alright. We can go to format, conditional formatting, and it'll open back up. And we're going to do the same. So for range, we're going to go K2 1000. And we're going to say if it is greater than, so in this instance, we're going to put 0. So if the net return is better than 0, then I want you to paint it green. Done. Add another rule for same range. This time if it's less than 0, then I want you to paint it light red too. Done. Close that. So now we have done the colors for current price and net return. Now we're going to have the colors automatically color the whole row as you go and update your investments. So for that, we're going to highlight the row below our header, and then we're going to go format, conditional formatting. We're going to go add new rule, and under range, it's going to have A2 to N2 depending on how many columns you put. But we're going to say to start from A2 to go all the way down to N1000. So that should cover the whole sheet. And then we're going to have our own custom formula for this. So go all the way down, custom formula, and we're going to write our own formula starting with the equal sign. So for this, we're going to put a $ first and then write J2, which is this column right here. If it is greater, then put another $, G2. So the reason why we're putting the $ is so that it stays in fixed and we don't put a $ in front of the number because we want the number to move. And this formula basically says if the numbers in J is bigger than the numbers in G, then we're going to tell it to paint a light green. Done. And we're going to add another one again for the same range, custom. Now this formula is going to be a little bit different from the last one. We're going to go equals $K2 is smaller than 0. So if the return is smaller than 0, we want you to show us a light red, and then click done. Now you have all these formulas. Oh, I just noticed this. It's not the same as this color. I'm just going to go and change that. This looks a bit too bright. One thing I forgot to do is press equals. I will start the formula with equals. Equals. Perfect. And now you're all done with the formulas and you should be ready to go. And just to show you, I will copy and paste all the data. Well, first of all, I'll get rid of the colors, no fill. I will copy everything and I will paste it underneath the row with all our formulas. There we go, the colors updated automatically. Now if you want the current share price, click on the cell where we have our formulas and you can click on this bottom right blue box and then drag it down. There we go. So these are the current share price, and it is showing up as green if it's higher than the initial buy price. It'll show up red if it is lower than the initial buy price. So Slack and Alphabet, I made a good call. And if you keep going down, Alphabet shows up again, so I made another good call on it. When you look at a red row with a red current share price, that means I made the right call on that as well. Now you no longer need the top row, but you can leave it there just in case if anything goes wrong. You can click and drag the formulas down. Or if you don't like looking at it, you can right click and go hide row, so it's out of your sight. But before we do that, we need to drag our formulas down. So to do that, you can click on the box with the formula, go Ctrl Shift down arrow button, and it will come down to where your last data is in the next empty one. But if you press Ctrl Shift arrow down again, it'll go all the way to the bottom. Now you can press Ctrl D, and now the formula we had at the top will be copied all the way down. Unfortunately, it messed up my colors, but that's alright. We can color it in again. You can do the same here. Go Ctrl Shift down, down again. You should do this with every cell we put a formula on. So this includes company name, current share price, net return, percentage difference, duration, and how much we made per day. And you should have done this before you put any transactions. Last one, Ctrl D. Now we messed up the colors a little bit, so let's color it in again. There we go. Nice, isn't it? And now we can hide this. Hide row. Now if you really don't like seeing this NA, then you can put an if formula before the Google Finance formula. So for example, if I delete that and go if open bracket is blank, open bracket, click on the ticker box, close bracket, quotation mark. Now we can put the Google formula. So go Google Finance, click on the ticker box again, comma, name and the quotation, close bracket, and then close bracket again, and then hit enter. Now it will remain blank until we fill out the ticker. You can do the same for the current share price. If open bracket is blank, click on the box below, ticker, comma, show us nothing by quotation mark, then type in Google Finance, click on the box below, ticker again, and under quotation, put price, close bracket, and then close bracket again, then press enter. Now that'll show nothing as well until we fill out the ticker. So if you go M, there we go. And if you go this, there we go. It'll remain blank until you fill it up. And now to test out the color, let's say 3M. Let's say it's up to 200 now. It's going to show green. Or if we drag this down, it's going to show the current share price, and 3M is actually higher. Adobe is actually lower, so I'm probably losing money on that. The reason why I don't have this all the way down to my current portfolio is because whatever platform you're using to trade shares with should already be showing you that. So there's no point in having another one here, but if that's what you like, then it's totally up to you. One thing that I should point out that this current share price is delayed about 20 minutes. Now to keep testing this out, let's say I sold this 1 day later and I sold it for 25. There we go. It updates automatically, the background color and this color. So if I said I sold it for $10, it goes light red at the background and darker red with my net return. And to do that again, let's say I sold Adobe at $90. It's coming up with this weird value here because I didn't update the date. So let's say I sold it a day later and it shows how much I made per day and how many days. Now let's undo that. Now if you want to change the orders around like you can with Excel, then highlight your header, your first row, then come up to data and go create a filter, and that'll create a filter for you. So if you want the net return to go from lowest to highest, then click on this little icon and go A to Z. If you don't want to see your current portfolio, click on that again and then unclick blanks. Go OK, and there you go. I like to have it by the order that I sold it. And another thing that you should do is that you see how your top header disappears when you go down. So if you have a lot of data, then you have no idea what you're looking at, or you have to remember. So you can highlight the first row, go to View, freeze, and one row. That'll freeze your first row. So when you go down, it'll stay the same. You know exactly what you're looking at. Now when you go to View, freeze, and you can freeze columns as well. So if you click this, it freezes the first column. It'll be useful if you have a lot of columns, or it'll be useful if you're looking at this through your phone, so you know exactly what company you're looking at. And one extra bit that I should point out is that if you're planning to do this with companies from other parts of the world, then you need to put in the area code. So for New Zealand companies, it's NZE. For example, if I put AIA, it's going to pull up a random American ETF. But if I put NZE column AIA, then it's going to pull up the Auckland International Airport, which is the one I want. If you're in Japan, it will be TYO. In Australia, it's ASX, so on and so on. And of course, if you want graphs, pie charts, and stuff like that, you can go ahead and add them. And you can have them set up so it interacts with each other, like what you see here. I don't bother with that because most of the time, it would just be a distraction. Graphs are good for presentations to get your point across quickly. If you learn something new or you just like the video, please do like and subscribe and share this with anyone that might find it useful. Anyways, yes, the main point of this was to point out that if you're serious about improving, tracking your investments can show a lot about you, but you do need to take the time to reflect on it. This video is already getting a bit too long for people's attention spans these days, so I'm gonna end it here.